just in my encounter with Boonie, when I assess him, you know, and even seeing you talk to him and being around you so much, and I'm watching, I would identify him more as, from my personal opinion, as more like the glue that was being able to connect all the pieces. Maybe Lil Durk may be harder to get in contact with for other people or whoever, maybe the other family members. And Dthang or Boonie was more like someone that everybody was able to contact and maybe relay a message and get to. And I even, you know, seeing him come through and spend a lot of time with you, and yet Lil Durk maybe can't do the same thing because of his schedule. But I seen you in your father zone with Boonie often, and it was very much like a friend, like a son, but also like a friend. What was your relationship with Boonie during the time you were incarcerated and, you know, until you came home?
Well, for the listeners, Boonie is Dthang. That's just the household name that we gave him growing up, is Boonie.
Right.
But, you know, the streets and his little circle and the people that he be around call him Dthang. So I just want the listeners to know that we talking about Dthang, my son. Dthang is, I mean, even in prison, one thing I always kept a balance on in prison is that all the children are treated the same. I don't ever want one of my children to think that they not getting treated as the other children getting treated. Everybody get equal. You know, if I call Dthang, I call Durk, I call Kiara, I call Marquita, I call Tudor, I'm going to call everyone at the same time, right behind one another. Him being the oldest, I just call him first and then go down the line as who's next and older, who's next. You know, so I try to keep a strong relationship with all my children so they can always know that their father, even in prison, is in their life. But, you know, Boonie had like I said, he had a good spirit about himself. You know, he can always make you feel good when you're talking to him because he's going to keep you laughing. He's going to just bring cheer to the conversation. Even with my situation being in prison, we always laughed on the phone because he always going to find something good in that, you know, to talk about and keep my spirits up and keep me focused as to what's the true goal, and that's getting up out of prison.
He had 2 children, a daughter and a son. And I've seen him, and it seems like the daughter's very much his princess, man. Like, she was a daddy's girl. You can see it, you know, her interaction with him. It was very much, this is a daddy's girl. And the son being a little younger. But how has his death affected her?
She's young, and she's just missing her father, you know. She used to calling him. She used to talking to him. She's used to seeing him every day. And that's what both son and love. They used to seeing their father every day because he's there. He stayed in the house with them, you know. The mom and the daddy was right there with them, you know. Fat and Dthang was together, so they get to see the mom and daddy every day. So now one of them missing, they know that something is going on there, you know. And continue to try to break them to get them to understand this. It's just traumatic right now. That's a traumatizing thing for a young child to have to know that their father been taken away from them like this. So hopefully, inshallah, God willing, man, she can continue to grow and be a true little young lady, you know. And that's what we all support. And that's what the Banks family support behind her, just making sure that we fulfill the obligation on our side, and that's Dthang's side, is to make sure that we be there for her.
I was blessed to be asked to help wash and shroud the body of your son. You asked me. That was the first time I had ever done it. And like I told you, to be in the room and seeing, you know, some of the brothers that you had spent time with in prison, created the bond with, kind of like rush in the room to kind of help support you and kind of taking care of your son's body. And I believe that was their first time as well. And really, you know, taking very much care and washing every part of, you know, him, and perfuming his body and wrapping it to make sure he had a proper Muslim burial. At that time, and you wear those glasses all the time. So at that time, I just out the corner of my eye seen you pause and I wasn't looking for you to choke up, but I could see that was a tense moment there. And I remained doing what I was doing. But in washing his body, what was that experience like?
I don't think it's a word that can describe it, just like a word that can't describe what you go through when you first hear about when the doctor come in and tell him that he didn't make it. There's no words to describe that feeling that you have inside of you. And watching the body just bring you into a reality of death. It gives you a sense of this is real, and for any young man to think it's not real, I think a lot of youngsters should take part in what we Muslim call janazah, where we wash the body and prepare for burial. We not like the traditional way you go to the funeral home and you just sit the casket in front of everybody. We actually do the process ourselves in washing and cleansing the body and wrapping it for burial. So these are real eye-open rituals and events that a lot of youngsters should see, because that'll give them a glimpse of what death really is and how close it is. And, it gives you that sense of like, you got to get it together. You got to stop what you're doing and start doing something different, something that ain't going to lead you right here. So it was one of those things that just constantly remind me of death and put a fear in me of that as a Muslim, you about to meet your Lord. Am I right? Did I do everything right that I was supposed to do? I constantly, as I was watching him, I'm constantly right now today, constantly praying that Allah would forgive him, that Allah would make his shahada, because he was a Muslim too, make his shahada an intercession on the day of resurrection. That shahada can be an intercession for you on the day of resurrection. And that's what I'm praying, that Allah would take that shahada on the day of resurrection and let it be an intercession for him to enter paradise. As a father, I was gracious and grateful enough that we was able to bury him as a Muslim. That's every father, every parent that's in this faith. That's what they all pray for, to bury their child as Muslims. So that was a blessing that we was able to bury him as a Muslim.
You just said, you say Dthang and Fat. That name is so synonymous in Chicago. In a very early, I'm going to say maybe 2012, 2013, or that name went together because they were very much from what we saw to be in love, and they were for each other, and they was always around each other early on, and the name went together. Dthang and Fat. How is she dealing with the loss of her significant other?
Oh, it's hard. She's going through it. It's very hard on her. That was her everything. She taking it very hard. Like you said, their name was synonymous. Wherever you seen him, that she was. So they growed up together. Young, just growed up together and been together for years. And, had the two children together and been through a lot for years. So that's another, that's very traumatizing for her now. So she's trying to move on with her life, being young and trying to be strong as a mother for the children. So, she going through it, and we just continue to pray for her and support her and help her to make it through this and get back on her feet and get back focused.
Definitely, it's a hard pill to swallow. I remember the day your son was actually shot. I was supposed to come pick you up. And he told me, man, come by my house, pick me up. And we were going to not Rockford. What little city was? We were going to a south suburb, Kankakee. Yeah. I was supposed to take you to Kankakee with me, and then to call you and tell you that I actually forgot. I'm like, man, I forgot to stop by and grab you. And you told me later, like, man, you know, how you gonna forget me and this, right? So then to get the call later on from you, because we were supposed to stop by your house before we actually, you know, got. So when we were leaving Kankakee, we was coming to stop by your house, and he was like, man, nah, you know, Boonie been shot. And I know he had been shot a few different occasions. So sometimes I think when we get those messages, we like, he gonna make it through this one, like he always has. What was the feeling that you specifically had when you got the information that he was actually shot, and then getting that later information that he actually passed away?
You know, your mind be running 100 miles an hour when you hear about your son, you hear about any of your kids is hurt, in danger, your mind running 100 miles an hour. So you just trying to grasp what's going on and get there so you can find out what's the real deal, what's the real story behind it. And like you said, you just plan to yourself that he's going to make it, you know, because that's the first question you ask a person who relaying the message to you, they've been shot, where he's been shot. Because that'll give you some direction to what would be the next steps, you know, how serious this is. So I had to find out you shot in the neck, then, you know, everything really heightens now. You know, your whole understanding kind of be in motion where you kind of stop right now trying to put it all together, you know. I can't really, that scene there plays out in my head a lot, and, you know, and yet as of today, as I sit here in this interview, I've yet to really deal. I've yet to mourn my son. I keep myself busy. I keep myself moving. I'll keep myself where I don't really have to really deal with this right now. I know at one point I'm going to have to deal with it. At one point it might catch me off guard, you know. But right now, I just can't deal with it right now because I fought too many years, 26 years, to get out and be a part of my children's life and have one of them taken from me. The oldest one, you know, my firstborn, it's just very difficult. And, like I said, I haven't dealt with it yet. I just keep moving, keep finding something to do, you know. So.